Well, hello again. Okay, I'm going to do a quick one about importing a character from Daz. This is Misty. She was exported from Daz with the appropriate morphs, which I can show you in Daz if you want, if you need to. So she's straight up from Daz, and it's all the clothing and stuff was from Daz. So I just dragged the FBX file into here. Of course, you can't just drag it into the scene because it needs the materials and texture setup. So just double clicking on that, go into the inspector, you can see there's no materials. So you have to extract them. So we'll do textures first, which I usually do, and that'll bring up a blank window for this folder. So then we just create a new folder, and we'll call it Misty Textures. And just hit select folder, and boom, it'll go off, do stuff. So now all of these are embedded in the FBX file. You find a lot of issues where people don't embed them properly, and then it becomes a big pain in the butt. But Daz does a good job if you have all the settings correct, which you may need to see. Same for the materials. New folder, Misty. I cannot type. Like, it says Mistly. Whatever. Old age sucks. So that'll create, you'll see it here, the materials folder, which is absolutely necessary because there's some work you have to do. So we also want to make sure we go into model, select legacy blend shape normals. It's not so important for Daz characters, but for Ready Player Me characters, it is absolutely necessary. Rig you want to set to humanoid, and that should be automatic coming out of Daz. So now you're ready to drop her into the scene. I don't know if there's a come on, you can do it. Typical. So I don't know if there's a I'm trying to drop into the game. I always have my game thing down here. Of course you can't do that. You have to drop it into the scene. So here's Misty. Now what's happening here is when you drag it in, she's there, but there's no collider here on the floor. So if you want to create a collider, you can either put a plane in there, like you can add a plane, 3D object, a plane, or a quad, and just make it just slightly under this visible floor. Preferred way to do it is to find the floor, which you double click to make sure you are on the floor. And it says floor center, so that's probably this. You can check just by moving things around. You can see what you've actually selected, and then just hit that, undo that. So the floor center is there, and what you can do is right click on any particular object, and you can create a create empty parent, and then look, you got to unpack this. So quite often you'll find these are all kind of linked together in the prefab, so you go in here, right click, prefab, and then you unpack prefab completely. That makes these all separate objects. So now if we go to floor center 2, which is what this is, yes, or it's floor big, or is it floor big? What is it? No, it's not that. Undo. So we'll go to floor center 2, which is this, and we'll right click here and create an empty parent. Now that worked that time because it's no longer part of the prefab. So we just call this, I don't know, floor parent. The reason you have to do that is because you can't create a collision mesh on this shape, but you can create one here. So we just add a component and we call it mesh collider. So mesh collider. And then you just need to go here, find out where the mesh is, which is right here in the mesh filter. Click there, and that's where it is now, you know. And then you go back to the parent, find the mesh, which is floor center 2, drag it there, and you should see, if we turn on the gizmos, you should see the mesh has now been applied. Now that doesn't work 100% of the time. There's some other things you have to do sometimes, but so that's the collision mesh. Now if we turn this off, we can get rid of those other things. And if we try and put our sports girl in there now, she will stand on the mesh, below the mesh apparently. But as long as you don't put a rigid body or a gravity kind of deal on her, she'll stay on the mesh, you know, wherever you put her. Hello. And something that Daz always does when you if you hold down Alt and click the right key, you can move things a little finer than normal. But one of the nasty things about what Daz does is, as you'll see, there's transparency applied to some of these things, and it's not really working at all. So you just go in. This is taking longer than I thought, but that's fine. You got to do it. Find the eye moisture, which is basically the sclera, what covers the sclera, I should say, which is the white of the eye, and it's transparent. But if you look in here where it sets the transparency, the alpha is set to not transparent. So as you see in there, you got to set it to transparent. And you also have to set the cornea to transparent. But you also have to worry about these eyelashes. So the eyelashes are here. They're set to transparent. I always turn them to fade because it looks better. You notice nothing changed, which is normal. And then you have to go find the textures, find the lashes, which is here. They're usually labeled logically lashes. And go into the textures and say alpha is transparency. And you get that from the grayscale, which means basically all this black stuff is going to be transparent. Apply it and you'll see this change. That's fine. But now you'll notice it did not apply the mesh to the eyelashes material. So you just have to drag it in there. Stick it there, and you'll notice that her eyes are now finally lashed. And you can set them to black. I think if you change this, you can change the color of her lashes to all kinds of stuff, but black is all I usually use. Now the corneas, because that's giving us dead eyes here. So go to find cornea, which is here. It says transparent. It's not. It's kind of semi-transparent. I don't know why. Anyway, turn that, and then you get that nice iris there. Then what I always do is turn up the smoothness, because it'll give you a reflection in the eye. In this case, I put in a reflection probe in the set, and it's picking up the reflection probe because there's really no light in front of it here, I guess. There are a lot of lights in this scene, which is bad for performance, but that could be reduced quite a bit, I think. And now, of course, the hair is horrendous. So if we just go to the hair materials, and I think in here there's a transparency, which is the same process. Change the alpha source, and alpha is transparent. Apply. This will go transparent. Then go back to the hair. And in here, it's a little weirder, but you have to take the oh no, that's eyebrows. We don't even want the eyebrows really, because they look goofy. So we'll take them off. But so here's the generic hair OP, I guess. I don't know how they call it that, OP. So you apply it here, and then you take the hair actual color texture and apply it to detail. As you can see, it's horrendously bright. It's because there's lights in this scene that make it like really super weird. And you don't use transparent because it causes effects when they overlay. So I always use cutout, which is more performant, number one. And you can actually, what do we, oh, no, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, there's some goofing around, but there's way too much light on her right now, and I really don't want to go finding out which light it is. But normally, maybe I got this wrong, I don't know. It's not this. This is the one I did not make transparent. Yeah. We'll go back and do that. Sometimes it's hard to tell. But I think this is the hair. So we'll go back. I made her bald. I'm sorry it's taking so long. So we go back to the female. No, we go back to the hair shape. We go back to the hair shape. So now we'll put that proper one in, which is this one. Thank you very much. And now you can see that the black spaces between the hair have disappeared, and that's because of this alpha cutoff thing. As you can see, you can tweak that quite a bit depending on how, you know. This part up here seems to be like a solid texture. It's not alpha enabled at all, but this one is, so you can futz around with that. And the eye moisture is under the eye here. That's also the eye moisture. And we want to get rid of those stupid eyebrows. Where are they? It's probably this eyebrows, yeah. So all you want to do is change that, get rid of the texture, and then turn them to cutout, and then just drag this. Yeah, you wouldn't. Drag the transparency all the way over, so they sort of disappear. Yeah. So then you can make them disappear by futzing around with this stuff. Her regular eyebrows are just fine. So now she looks fine, right? I mean, lighting stuff should be done. Maybe if we just put her further back. Yeah, it just makes a huge difference where the lights are. She could come closer to the desk. Yeah, and shadows and stuff, you have to figure that out. If the lighting's up here, yeah, you're going to get shadows. Okay, and then the final kind of thing is when you bring her in, the animator is going to be here. There's not going to be any runtime animator controller or animator controller at all. So if you have her selected and you go up to the animator tab, select that, it's going to be blank, right? So what you have to do is put something in there, and it's usually an animation that's just an idle or something. So we got some idle animations. You know, but whatever. And then you actually have to go out and come back in, and then it'll be there. So now she has this greeting stance, and I don't know particularly what that is, although you can just look over here and you can run it. So it's pretty innocuous. She's nodding a bit here and there. And then the other thing you want to do is, if you ever put any other animations in here, you can always, like if I was to put looking around idle in here, now it's not doing anything, but what you do is right click on it, set as layer default state, and then you can connect this to another one so it'll do them in sequence, right? And if you want it to go back to this one and just loop, you got to do that. But if you just want it to do on the loop on the one, you right click on it, make transition, and then you just transition to the same thing, and it'll just loop that, as we will see when we run this. Let's just fix that main camera a bit so we can see her better. Zoom in. move over a bit. And yeah, you can see that the perspective is kind of goofy. But anyway, so let's, well, we better save this. And then let's just run it. I only have like a 1060 on this laptop, so everything I do is kind of constrained by that. It's a little slow. Oh, and this is another fun thing. Okay, so she's got her mouth open like a guppy here. We'll just fix that. I'll show you how. It's the same with every Daz character, by the way. So what you want to do is right click on her and unpack the prefab completely. And you need to do that to apply salsa as well. And then you go down into the hip and the abdomen, or you just kind of work your way out to the head. So there we are in the head. Now what you got to do is drag this lower jaw into the upper face rig. Fortunately, this doesn't seem to work with CC3. You have to actually go in and edit the configuration of the model rig, which is not hard. You just have to change one thing. So anyway, so now our mouse should be shut when we run the animation. And from here on, you can just play with animations and stuff, and she'll be fine. So that's all there is to that. I mean, it's a process you get used to very quickly with Daz, and it takes 5 minutes maybe to get an import of FBX and get it all set up and in your scene. Once you know what you're doing. So I'm going to cut it off there because it's going way too long.